You're now watching a clip from the Inspired by show. You can watch the full episode on our YouTube channel or listen on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to head over there, leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it, and follow the show. For someone who's not inside the media industry, I mean, I work very closely with it. We see from the outside in that it's like, ruthless. Everyone's really harsh to each other, one thing on camera, one thing off camera. Was it really like that? Or is that just what we see in TV and in the movies?
I think in TV and movies, you also see real friendships, right? And I think that the reality is that the more we define our niche and our areas of expertise, I feel very grateful I have my niche, my area of expertise, because it means that I'm different from my colleagues and I don't need to think about being cutthroat because we each do our own thing. And I think about whether it's like one of the anchors who's also an expert in tech, John Ford, he and I are very different, but we are great on camera together and we're great when we're brainstorming because we understand each other's strengths. And so when I started out, there was some and this was back in 2006. I remember there was a senior woman who made some snide comments about me and one of my female colleagues. And she said, you girls shouldn't be friends. You should hate each other. You should be out to get each other. And she and I were my friend and I were like, we're not going to play by that game. Like, we're not going to play that game. That's like not useful to either one of us to have that kind of negative energy. And so I do feel like women of my generation are very much looking to succeed without having it to be cutthroat. And that's just not, I mean, that's just not how I operate. And actually, I think there's something fun about going and doing my own thing and creating these new projects, whether it's Closing the Gap, which is an initiative I started around covering companies and individuals that are closing gender and diversity gaps, or the Disruptor 50. It's because it's creative. It's not destructive, right? I don't want to succeed at someone else's. I don't want someone else to have to fail in order for me to succeed. I feel like that's bad juju. It's just not good karma. It's not the way I want to operate in the world. And I have found that especially in reporting my book, women were so eager to help other women. And they would say, don't talk to me, talk to this amazing entrepreneur I just met, or my story's been told too much. Like, who you really shouldn't be shining the spotlight on is this woman. And I think there's something about that generosity that I think there's a sense now that we can operate with that kind of generosity in our work. And I also think, frankly, being at a place where there isn't a lot of turnover, people know that I'm in it for the long haul. And so, my colleagues and I have known each other for years, and it's a real advantage.
Yeah, definitely. I love that though, because a lot of people get competitive, almost like there's not enough to go around. Whereas the generosity approach is exactly, it's more like there's plenty, there's enough for all of us. We can all succeed and we can help each other up if we fall down, and that sort of teamwork, even though you're kind of in your own lane and in your own niche.
Yeah. And I actually think the more you understand what your strengths and weaknesses are, the more you can feel that confidence and feel like you can be generous. And there's some great data that I write about in my book, When Women Lead, about this idea that you don't want to have a scarcity mindset. You want to have a mindset of abundance, because then you won't make bad decisions. And if you feel confident that there is enough attention or enough relationships or enough whatever it is to go around, you can make wiser decisions based on that. And so when I found that research, I was like, oh, this makes sense and this resonates. You don't want to be operating from a position of scarcity, because then you're going to be making decisions for a near-term win that are going to end up backfiring over the long term.